Okay, John, first of all, this looks like a bug in the sky. It looks like a bee. What kind of plane is this?
It's a Jee Bee, scale Jee Bee, modeled after the real Jee Bee. Come to be called the Widowmaker because a lot of guys have died in this one. It actually originally was designed for a pylon racing. And this is an ARF actually. It's a fiberglass fuselage with a built-up wing. And I have a Sato 180 4-stroke in it.
Now, why did a lot of guys die in it?
There was a lot of aerodynamic properties with it that didn't lend itself to, like, landing is one of them. Mostly in races, I think they died. I mean, these really took tight turns around pylons and stuff.
Now, when you're flying in the RC version, you find the same thing, difficult to land?
Absolutely. I mean, I've flown this, you know, about 20 times, and the last 10 times I've landed it without flipping. It's a handful. In the air, it knife edges beautifully. It flies inverted very well. Snap rolls very well. Although sometimes if you try and go crazy with it, it'll just snap out and do all kinds of weird things. The center of gravity is very critical on this thing.
Yeah, because really it should be here, and it's probably a little bit further back.
It's a little bit further back. Now, funnily enough, the size of the diameter of this thing, with as much prop that's sticking over, is remarkably fast, and it has a lot of pull. You'd think that the fuselage would stop all the airflow, but it doesn't. It's a very aerodynamic shape. The teardrop design by the Granville brothers, who originally did it, had a lot of success with it. I did see the real one fly at Windsor Airport, and it was very aerobatic. It was unbelievable to watch.
So within that time frame, the 30s to the 40s, it was built?
Sometime around there, yeah.
Well, it was a remarkable plane. Okay, I'm here with Peter Hildebrand. Peter, what kind of plane is this?
This is an A-10 Warthog from Mebo Jets.
This is going to be a great model. What type of engine do you think you're going to be actually using in this too?
Well, it will be a turbine engine. We're hoping in the range of 30-pound thrust on the turbines. We need 2 of them. Hence, we are in a partnership doing it together, so we each only have to buy 1 engine. The project will be probably another year in its making. We're at the point where we need the electronics and start installing engines and things like that.
Okay, Mike, you mentioned earlier, Peter told me, he says, I'm not touching the paint on this. Why is that?
Well, I kind of wanted to do a camouflage scheme, a Desert Storm, like a tan camouflage scheme. So he said, if you want to do the scheme, well, you lay it out.
And that's a lot of work, obviously, trying to get all the detail.
Work, yeah.
Now, will there be just as much detail as the last plane we saw you guys build?
Yeah, we're going to hope to detail about the same, put some panel lines in it. We're still undecided about putting all the rivets in, but it'll have panel lines, and we would like to do a nice scale job on it.
Now, Peter, you're saying to me earlier that this is going to take a while to build. How long do you figure until your total completion on this?
Well, because we only work on it once a week in the wintertime, we're looking at least 1 more winter, possibly 2. So it all depends on finances and how much time we can actually get on the airplane to do the work.
And then obviously after you guys build it, you got to learn how to fly this.
Yeah.
Now, what have you heard from other people searching on the internet and some of the forums? I saw in RC Canada that they did mention, a few guys said that this is kind of difficult to fly. Are you kind of worried about that a little bit?
Well, we've done a lot of research when we chose this airplane. It's got a very high lift wing. There's Horner wingtips on the ends. There's under camber. The plane should fly very well, and actually in a slow regime too. And landings and takeoffs should be fairly reasonable. So we've been doing a lot of reading. We've talked to people. I'm in email contact with other people that have built this airplane, and we're getting a lot of advice, and we'll hopefully use that to our advantage.
Okay, Peter and Mike, thanks a lot. You guys have a lot of work ahead of you. So in future episodes of RC TV, we will be seeing this plane flown hopefully next year. Until then, take care, folks.
Now it's time for the Great Hobbies Tech Tip of the Week. Hi, this is Gary from Great Hobbies. On today's Tech Tip, we're going to talk to you about the secret of refilling your shock fluid. After you do a rebuild of the shocks, you have to take into account the volume that the shock shaft represents. As you're topping up the fluid, you're going to move it up and down to get the bubbles up. But as you do that last little top off to finish up the level, make sure that your shock shaft is at the halfway position. That way you're taking into account the volume that shock shaft represents when it's being compressed in. Make sure it's halfway, top off the last of the fluid, tighten it down, and you're good to go. You'll have a nice balanced feel to your shocks. For RCTV, that's your tip of the week.